Hey everybody, Happy New Year's. I feel like I'm kind of back out on the trail a little bit again. I've got my beanie hat on that I use for most of my hiking. I've got my Mountain Hardwear jacket here on that survived many a mile, and I'm out here at the dog park, just going to keep an eye on my dog now and then, see how she's doing. But yeah, it's a little rainy, it's a little cold, but hey, I know it's worse in other parts of the country and the world. I've heard. But I do have empathy, though, and sympathy for all you guys up there in the far north. I did live in Minot, North Dakota for 3 years, so I do understand what real cold is all about. So, hey, listen, for this Q&A today, I'm going to tease this a little bit. Early Riser, he asked me to kind of do one of his questions was to do kind of a commentary for all the 2018 thru hikers on kind of what my body went through, what we can kind of expect as we start maybe hiking the first week or two on the trail, so that the psychology doesn't work against you and discourage you. So I'm going to tease that kind of for the end of the video today. Let me also emphasize that Darwin on the trail not too long ago did a kind of an ode to the idea of the hike your own hike philosophy, and it's important to understand that that all the stuff you watch and you hear and people ask questions and the answers that I or anybody else gives, that's only to increase the fountain of knowledge, to throw ingredients in the soup pot, if you will, because in the end it really comes down to each hike is going to be individual. The trail is going to give that particular hiker what they need for their experience, so don't worry so much about everything. Things do tend to work out, and don't take anything as what we say as God's truth, if you will. That this is how you have to do it, or you're not going to be a thru hiker, you're not going to have a good hike, because that's not true. All we're doing is we have some lessons learned for us that we want to share. We have ideas. People ask us questions. We'll give you some answers to the best of our ability, and hopefully in a way that doesn't say this is the only way to do it, but this is a possible way of doing it. So, all right, let me look up the first question here, and I'll get right back. Okay, so the first question comes from Mary Hadaway, and she says, "Could you please go over the device you use to free up space on your iPhone? How exactly does it work?" And for Mary, I did a separate video which has already been posted, and it's a gear review on the iXpand device by SanDisk. It's a hardware solution. Since then, the prices have gone up quite a bit on those. There might be some actually better cloud type opportunities, so that maybe during the southern part of the trail, more of that stuff can be uploaded to the cloud, and then used to use maybe like one device for when you get further up north where you don't have a lot of connectivity, but you want to pull stuff off your phone to give you more room. So anyway, there is a gear review out there for you. Muley's cousin, he said, "Hey Colonel, since you're a pilot, would a pilot's knee board be useful on a long hike? Like hooked up to your pack or strapped to your arm?" And honestly, that's really overkill. I just used the special Ziploc bag. It's a high mil Ziploc bag that David Miller provides with his AWOL guide, and I just had like two sheets of that I would put in my pocket, kind of one face in each direction, so you could just flip it so you wouldn't have to take it out during the day during the rain. And then this last year in 2017, I did that, but because I was using Guthook, I hardly ever referenced it, except maybe at the end of the day, pull it out, circle the place I stopped for camp. So no, I love the knee board. It works great for flying, but I think for backpacking, it would be just another gadget to either get in the way, get broken, or get lost. Much like the special zip, special pouch that I got from my iPhone. It broke within 2 days, and I went to a Ziploc bag, and it worked great for the rest of my 2 hikes over the course of 6 months. So, all right. Let's see. Keith Skaggs asks, "Hey, I'm starting my lash the 1st of April, and what cold weather gear would you recommend hiking in? Boots, hat, gloves, base layer, etc. And how many changes of clothing?" And then he has a follow-on to that. In April, see, I started on 3 March, and I had my beanie here that I've got now. I had for hiking, I had 2 base layers, one long sleeve, one short sleeve. So I had a Smart Wool short sleeve t-shirt, and I had a long sleeve base layer of Patagonia, and then I had this jacket that I'm wearing now. Okay, and those 3 layers were plenty, and it would probably be that for because you know when you get up you're going to be cold, you know, and you may even start with your puffy jacket, but then you get ready to start hiking, you take your puffy jacket off, you hike about 200 yards, and then you're going to take another layer off, and you're going to hike another half mile, and you'll be down to 1 or 2 layers, and then you can switch between your t-shirt and your long sleeve base layer for hiking in, depending upon if it's cold or not, and the wind, you know, you might put your whatever you've got for you know, kind of a wind block and a rain block, whether that's a, you know, this held up really well. That Mountain Hardwear. I've got an Outdoor Research. It's the Helios, which I didn't use because it seemed a little thin for me. May be more suitable for a summertime as a little wind block and as an extra layer. But I didn't hike. You know, I had long pants, which were convertible, so I could zip them off. That was enough for me. I never hiked any kind of long johns or leggings or anything like that. Some guys will use some leggings if they're just going with shorts, like athletic shorts. They might have a pair of leggings they will put on when it's cold and windy. There's not too many people hiking in rain pants, even though I think some people carry them. You see them more when people are doing their laundry than you really see people hiking in rain pants. And for Keith's second question, he asks he asks about his sleep system. He's got a 30-degree Enlighten Equipment synthetic quilt, and or actually it's a bag, and he's doing the 4-season Neo Air Thermarest. And any thoughts on how that will work? And I'm like, I use the regular Neo Air and a 30-degree down bag, 30-degree ground 30-degree down quilt, and that worked great as long as I had a Patagonia kind of mid-weight top and a Smart Wool kind of like, not really leggings, but kind of like long underwear that I slept in. And as far as an extra clothes, I carry too much extra clothing. You know, being afraid of, you know, falling in a stream and getting hypothermia. And I needed something to change into that was different from my sleepwear. Well, in the end, that was just overkill. And as long as you got something to maybe change into for town, like, you know, just a pair of gym shorts and a little synthetic shirt that you could throw on while you're doing your laundry or if you're going into town, that'll be enough. I did too much on the clothing, but see, that was my fear, having had hypothermia in survival school, and so I went with more stuff than I probably really needed. I have a question from Kirk. He says, hey, it may be a stupid question, but here it goes. First, how much does the vlog equipment weigh, and if you were not doing it, would a portable hairdryer be feasible? All I use is just my iPhone. That's it, and I've got those little SanDisks, you know, download devices that I can download from. I didn't even take a tripod or a cell phone holder. You know, no selfie stick or anything. Just my phone, and that's it. So for me, I didn't really have any extra weight in the equipment. I never saw anybody out there with a battery powered hairdryer. Let's see, I got to take a break here for a second because of my dog. Sorry about that. A couple of kind of beagles showed up, and they're getting ready to make a bunch of baying noises. You may still hear them in the background there. So now he says that, you know, his profession in golf, it's important to keep dry feet. And honestly, what most people do is, you know, they stop for lunch if it's been wet and rainy and their feet are wet, and if the sun is out, they'll take their feet off, get their feet out in the sun, take their socks off, get those out in the sun. Even if it's not really super wet and rainy, they'll still do that just to give their feet an opportunity to get some fresh air. Plus, the sun is the UV light will help kill bacteria and help keep the smell down. So that's what you see most people doing. You know, you have a change of socks that you can put on if it's really bad during the day. And if it's one of those legs where you're 3 or 4 days hiking and you're in a lot of rain, you know, you're probably gonna take a day off and maybe take a zero in town where you can really get your feet and your equipment dried out if it's been that bad. Okay. Now he says, I also with the new people filming their hikes, I've noticed that there's quite a lot of really dangerous places. He notes that there's places where you have the ropes over the ford crossings in Maine. You got rebar in the rocks and things like that. I think for the most part, the most dangerous was coming off of Dragon's Tooth. That was the first. Well, I take that back. The steps going up Albert Mountain kind of caught me off guard. It was put your poles away and kind of climb up hand over hand. That was kind of dicey. And then really the next dicey opportunity was coming off of Dragon's Tooth. And then after that, upstate New York caught me off guard with all those rocks. And yeah, it could be dangerous. There were times when I was thinking, I can't believe that if I was out here with some scouts, we'd have ropes and belays set up to keep them safe. And here I'm climbing up this with a pack, and I was injured. So, and honestly, that's one of the reasons I decided to get off the trail in 2017. It was because I had lost articulation in my foot from an injury that turned out to be the torn Achilles. So, in the end. Yeah, it's dangerous. The AT is relatively safe, but if in any kind of stormy conditions, what's safe can become dangerous and slippery. So you just have to exercise caution and be careful. And there are times when it will be wise to get off the trail because of weather. All right. Okay, the next question is from Soaring Eagle Appalachian. He says, my big concern for my 2018 through hike are my knees. Do you have any knee issues, and how did you manage them? I didn't start out with any knee issues other than I knew that I had some arthritis in my right knee that they'd found during my VA exit physical from the Air Force. I did hurt my knee coming down Blood Mountain, and that troubled me for quite a while. I think I really wrenched my left knee in the Smokies. I got caught on a stump and a rock as I fell. And it wrenched it pretty good. Most of those were handled with wearing Chopats eventually, but once I learned about the IT band stretch, that did wonders, and I'll talk a little bit about that here at the end with for ER71's question. But if you go to my playlists into my hiker tips, I've put in somebody else's video there. That is the IT band stretch that I really like. The beagle owners out here are almost more noisy than their dogs. Anyway, okay, let's see. Forrest Frazier asks, you mentioned your wife indicated that you went over your budget. Can you talk about how much you budgeted for the hike? And did you try and stay under a certain number of miles per day? Well, not including the equipment or anything like that. I kind of gave myself $500 a month. Of course, I blew that right away because I ended up changing out equipment at Mountain Crossings. Spent almost $350 for the tent, and I ended up, because of my hurting my knee coming down Blood Mountain, spending 2 days in the cabins. So right there, I blew my $500 budget right away. But for the most part, my going over my budget was because I found out that when I needed to take a Zero or a Nero, and if I had an opportunity for a room by myself at a hotel, even with a cheap hotel, the hiker rate of $45, $50, I kind of preferred that over the hostel at $25 because I usually needed to sleep, and you don't sleep very well in hostels. It's a place to recoup, to dry off, to get your gear dried, to get cleaned up, to get your gear clean, to get food. But rest at a hostel, if you're a light sleeper with people that snore, even with earplugs, I kind of preferred my own place. So that was a little more expensive. So just take that in mind. The general rule of thumb is it's going to cost you $2 per mile to hike the Appalachian Trail. And then if you like to have some indulgences like steak dinner instead of a couple of Big Macs or a pizza, then it's going to be more expensive. If you like to have your own room, it's going to be more expensive. So just keep that in mind. Okay, Warm Keg asks, have you considered a Ursack with an op sack instead of the hassle of hanging your bear bag? I did think about it before I left. I didn't see anybody talking about any of their gear videos, so I kind of went with the philosophy, if others aren't using it, probably I'm not going to either, so I didn't. In 2017, I did come across one hiker. Oh gosh, that may have been in Front Royal. I think I won't say her name because I'm not sure if it was her. But somebody at the beginning of my 2017 hike, they were using an Ursack, and I had a chance to actually touch it, feel it. To me, it would seem like it would be great for the rodents. It probably works well for the bears, but it seemed heavier and if it got wet, you know, the rope would get wet. That would add weight to it. The Kevlar, I think, would probably absorb some water. Plus, it was gathered up at the top, so if it really, really rained hard all night, you actually may end up with water in the sack, which means yes, you definitely want to use like the ops bag inside that keeps the odors away. So I don't know. I don't think I would. It didn't bother me that much to hang a bear bag. There were times when you couldn't. But it seemed like the weight penalty was pretty severe with that. Okay, now for the pièce de résistance. This is from Early Riser 71. He says, "Hey Big Bird, with the upcoming class getting primed for 2018, could you briefly explain what you remember about how your body felt at the end of each day during the first few weeks of the hike? I think it would be helpful, folks, if they could hear the psychological challenges, intangible symptoms." And he says, for example, his knees were killing him and swollen by the top of Georgia Hostel. If they can balance how they feel compared to what pass-through hikers experience, it may alleviate some of their concerns and drive on. And this is so true. If you kind of understand that what you're experiencing is normal, and other people have had it and have gotten through it, it really does help. Now I've got a couple of pages here of notes, so I'm going to have to unfortunately pause it now and then to be able to switch it, because I can't hold the umbrella, the phone, and my notes all at the same time and then try and switch pages. But so see, for the first week or so, you got to keep in mind that it's not just body, but it's body and mind. Okay, because they really do go together, because you haven't learned yet to psychologically temper what's happening on the trail with what's going on with your body. So they really are both tied together. And my perfect example is wanting to quit a mile and a half short on the approach trail of getting to the top of Springer, because it was just like, this is not going to work. And it was my son who helped me through that psychology of, come on, just keep pressing on. You can do this. Let's just go a mile and a half. No big deal. Let's just do it. One of the things you probably need to keep in mind is about the week prior to getting out on the trail, make a concerted effort to actually get some rest. You're not going to sleep that first night before you hit the trail. Okay, well, you're staying in a hotel, getting ready to do the approach trail. You're staying at that inn. You're staying at the hostel there in Dahlonega. Wherever you're at, you know, you're not going to sleep that night. And you're not going to sleep because what you're going to feel is either excitement or fear. And the reason I say that is because psychologically, or physiologically, excuse me, the feelings you have with fear and the feelings you have with excitement are exactly the same. You know, sometimes that fear, what you think is that panic, the heart racing. You know, physiologically, excitement and fear have the same symptoms. So if you have a choice, decide where you're laying there not able to sleep that you're so excited, not that you're afraid. Okay, and don't think about 2,000 miles. Think about how fun it's going to be to get to walk out of Mountains Crossings and not be one of the 20% to quit there. You know, and anyway, so just be aware you're not going to get much rest. And then that first week on the trail, you're not going to get much sleep. You know, it's just you're not going to be comfortable no matter what you're doing, whether you're in that great hammock that you've convinced yourself is the best way to get asleep, or the best nice puffy sleeping mattress. You're going to toss and turn a lot, and because it's a new environment, you're not going to sleep that first week. So you're gonna be tired. Okay. Now the first couple of days, I must say, you may not be hungry. Okay. A lot of us that are a little bit older and we carry a little extra weight in terms of fat on us, our bodies have gotten used to doing things a certain way, and all of a sudden now you're putting this huge physical demand on it, and the body doesn't like it. It's not going to want to release its energy reserves. Okay, it's been enjoying having a little bit more calories coming in each day than is expended, and being able to store it in places, and it's gotten really comfortable. Okay, I'm going to switch pages. So your body's going to resist. So once it does start releasing the energy, it's going to start with the glucose first. Okay, because that's the easiest to get out. So your glucose, the instant energy that, your liver stores it for the fight or flight mechanism. So, some of that glucose may start out, and then so you're going to have some. Eventually, you're going to have a little bit of low blood sugar, kind of malaise that kind of hits you, and then eventually your body's going to want to burn the fat. Now for this type of activity, the body actually loves to burn fat when it starts doing it. Okay, it's the great energy source, and if you could get away with eating bacon and sausage for the whole hike, you're not going to get all the other nutrients you need, but your body would love the fat, and so eventually it will start burning it. However, in your life, as you've done things and taken things into your body that are with a lot of toxins involved, sometimes your liver may not be able to get rid of them as fast as it would like, and so your body, to protect itself, will take some of those toxins, environmental toxins, and throw them into your, maybe it pesticides, will throw them into your fat cells. That's the way to protect your body. It isolates them. It's like putting a little force field around them, and so the toxins are in the fat cells. Well, as you start burning fat from your body, those toxins will start being released, and that will also kind of make you not feel very good. Okay, and so it's really important that first week of fat burning that you make sure you have a lot of liquids, that you're drinking a lot of water to help to flush those toxins out that are now coming out with the fat from the fat cells. And with that, some of your addictive cravings you're going to have to deal with. Your nicotine, your caffeine, sugar, chocolate. If you've got some addictive things out there in your lifestyle, you're going to go through some withdrawals. Okay, and that's going to be part of how your body feels and how that ties into how your mind feels. And that feeling crappy has a psychological impact. It did on me. It's like, can I really do this? If this is how I feel, is this even going to hike even going to work? And you just have to, if you just realize that there's things that are happening out of your control like that, with the toxins getting released, and you just have to work through it and get rid of them. And eventually, I think that's why I drank a lot of water. I had a lot of fat to lose, so I drank a lot of water, and that helped clear out the toxins. Your hips are going to hurt. About by day 3, maybe until all the way to Hiawassee, man, your hips are going to hurt. You're putting all that weight down on the hips, and now you're walking with it, and my hips feel bad. Everybody's does. It's normal. Okay. If you don't have good footwear, by the time you get to Hiawassee, your feet are going to be absolutely torn up. There's an outfitter there. Okay, have the discipline, even though you've only put 100 miles on your shoes. You may have to get rid of them and get something better, because it's not going to get any better. Okay, if your feet are already torn up by Hiawassee, people with good feet don't have blisters. Okay, with good footwear, don't have blisters. Okay, if you got good footwear and you got liner socks, you're not going to have problems with blisters that are going to take you off the trail. You see a lot of young people that have been hiking too fast with bad footwear at Hiawassee with feet that are all torn up. Yeah, your knees will hurt. If you remember from your high school physics, force equals mass times acceleration. Okay, and well, when you're hiking uphill, okay, your acceleration that's working on you is gravity, and it's fixed, and you've got your mass of your body, so you got the force, and it's a lot of your thighs and some of your knees are taking the brunt of that, and you're going slower, so you're not trying to accelerate uphill, you're going slow uphill. Well, when you turn to go downhill, okay, now you got gravity kind of trying to accelerate you downhill, and it's all on your knees. So that force equation, that force number goes up when you're going downhill, and that means more force on your knees. So your knees are going to hurt. And one of the things that can really help with that, I'll talk about here in just a second. Eventually, maybe not the first couple of days, but eventually your feet, the bottom of your feet, are going to be killing you. Okay, and so if you're not using a boot and you're using some trail runners, this is where you want to make sure that your trail runner has some sort of a rock shield in it. Your Ultra Lone Peaks 3.5s do, the La Sportiva Wildcat does. You want to have some sort of a rock shield on the bottom, because every one of those rocks is going to feel like you're walking on pins and needles, because the bottom of your feet are going to hurt. And some will say that that is for the whole trail, although it does seem to get better. You do get a little bit more used to it, and that part of that, maybe just the nerves get deadened a little bit. But and me with my flat feet, it seemed to hurt pretty well. Where you'll notice it is when you pull into camp, maybe at the end of the day, and you sit down to do supper at the table, and you start talking with people, and you eat, and it's time to get cleaned up. You've been sitting there for about an hour, and you get up and try and walk, and you can't walk. Or in the middle of the night, you got to get up and go to the bathroom at 2 in the morning after you've been sleeping for 3 or 4 hours. You can hardly walk going out. That's normal. Okay, you just realize that's normal, and it's something that it hurts, and you have to deal with it. So what are some of my recommendations? And once again, these are just my recommendations. You can take them, you can leave them, not worry about it. First, okay, understand that feeling overwhelmed with the physical is normal, and it will pass. Okay, being overwhelmed with the physical aspects of the trail will be overcome. You've heard from, if you've been watching videos, you've heard from everybody that the Appalachian Trail, it's more psychological than it is physical. Not to take away from the physical, but what'll get you is the psychological over the physical. Okay, so just don't let it overwhelm you. Everybody, everybody's knees are going to hurt. Everybody's feet's going to hurt. Everybody's hips are going to hurt. Some people are going to get blisters. You deal with those, and just know that they may happen, and just work through it. Okay, now eventually you're going to be exhausted enough to that you will start sleeping. Okay, you're just going to wear yourself out. Okay, and that will help your well-being. Okay, because the first week or 2 you're not sleeping, that does not help your well-being. But eventually you will start to sleep. Okay, and that will help your well-being out a lot. Now, don't be surprised, because with sleep, especially when you're got sleep deprivation, eventually your body calls in the debt, if you will, and you'll have to pay back the debt master. And what'll happen is you just won't wake up. It may happen. It may happen in a hotel room. It may happen at a hostel. It may happen in the campground. You may. I've come up on a shelter area at 11 o'clock to stop for lunch, and the guy's been still sleeping in there. Okay, eventually your body's going to shut down, and it's going to want to catch up on that rest. And when that occurs, you get up 9, 10 o'clock out of your tent, and it's beautiful out, and it's nice and warm, and the birds are singing, and you're just going to take that as a short day. And don't panic. Don't get up and it's like, oh my gosh, I got all these miles I got to do, and try and go out. That's when you're going to get hurt. Just go, wow, okay, it happened. Big Bird said that at some point in time my body would want to catch up at sleep, and it just did. So let's take it as an easy day today, and let's enjoy the hike, and don't sweat this. Don't sweat it. Just take it as a good day to finally get caught up on your rest. Okay. Give your feet, your knees, your calves, your legs a good massage at the end of the day, especially at the beginning. Work out some of that the buildup of the what's the acid that gets released from burning muscle. I just had a brain stall. Anyway, to take the time to actually massage that out. Ernie Reiser had a stick with him, and he would work out those muscle knots and really give a good workout to get some of that acid out. Don't be afraid to lactic acid. There you go. Don't be afraid to do that, and give yourself a little bit of a reward. Let's put something under if you got problems with plantar fasciitis, then have something there that you could a water bottle even if you needed to, to kind of roll under that to help it out a little bit. Now, because you want to start off right, you want to have that nice packet gourmet, or your Mountain House meal, or your maybe a Provident Pantry, or some specialty type of a dehydrated freeze-dried meal that you pay a lot of money for, and it's like, man, I want no, don't do it. Okay, save that stuff for your food box at Mountain Crossings. Okay, because the first couple of nights, if you feel sick, you're not going to want to eat anything. So much of that stuff goes to waste. Okay, that Mountain House lasagna or chili mac, it's going to make you sick. You're not going to want to eat it, okay? So save it, okay? Send that to you later. So what do? You know, for your first couple of nights, just plan on some of the blander Idahoan potatoes. You know, not the loaded one that all the bacon bits. Just make it the, you know, like a 4 cheese, or maybe just a buttery one, or just the regular Idahoan potatoes, and maybe a couple packages of chicken. You know, for those first 2 nights, you just do that. And even then, you may find that the Idaho potatoes is too much to eat. Okay, you're not going to feel that good. You're going to force yourself to eat it. But if it's at least it's kind of coming across as more of a comfort food, the chance of you getting those calories in you is better. I'm not a big fan of ramen noodles, but those first couple of nights, maybe some chicken ramen noodles with some chicken on the side, or, you know, it might be worth having in your pack. There's not a whole lot of weight penalty to actually carry that, but it may serve as a good comfort food for you and allowing you to you know, kind of get past that feeling crappy and have something to eat. More people talk about not feeling good and not feeling like eating anything the first couple of nights than probably anything else that anybody ever complains about. All right, another recommendation here: when getting to camp, get your water first before your body stiffens up. Okay, because almost always the exception is probably more than the rule, that you're going to have to walk somewhere to get your water. Go up, go down, got to go somewhere to get it. Why don't you do that before your body stiffens up? Okay, that'll help you feel a lot better. And get your bear rope up too. So, you know, get your water, get your bear rope thrown up. Especially you want to do your bear rope before it gets dark. There's nothing more frustrating than tripping over stuff and stubbing your toes, especially if you're trying to wear camp shoes while you're trying to throw a bear rope, okay, over a branch that's hard to see. So get your bear rope done ahead of time. Do the IT band stretch for at least a month before hitting the trail, especially women. Women tend to have a harder time with their patellas being out of alignment. I'm told that some of that occurs just as a result of the birthing process, but for sure, if you've already, you know, when your hips start to spread, when you hit puberty, sometimes they get misaligned there. So a lot of the knee problems that women have are that patella misalignment, and the IT band stretches will help that a lot. And once again, in my gear review playlist, I have my favorite video that describes 3 different IT band stretches, 2 of which you can do very easily while you're hiking, are in that playlist. Let's see, you know, and do that. So a month before you go, do those IT band stretches, and then I when I'm laying down on my mattress before I get up in the morning, I do them. Excuse me, a little cough attack there. So the IT band stretches, do those starting maybe a month before you hit the trail. Then do them in the morning before you get up from your tent. You can do them while you're laying down in the shelter or in your tent. Hammock's a little harder. If you do it at lunchtime against a tree, and if you're hammocking, you just get up in the morning and do it in the morning against a tree. You know, do them again at lunch, and then before you go to bed at night. And that will really help out. That helped out more than anything with the knee pain. All right, and now according to Sir Pax-a-Lot, who owns the Top of Georgia Hostel, he says it takes 300 miles for your muscles and 600 miles for your ligaments to adjust to hiking. And that developing a hiker body, and it actually requires hiking. There's not much else you can do to get a hiker body other than to hike. It's a very specific athletic activity, you know. And so don't expect to get your trail legs for a mile. You know, it may take 1,000 miles. I'm never sure I got my trail legs ever before I had to get off in 2016 after 900 miles. I don't think I got to the point where I can say, oh yeah, this is great, I can just hike and hike and hike. I don't think I ever got to that point. So you know, don't let yourself get discouraged. You know, don't think you're going to have your trail legs in the first couple of days, couple of months maybe even. It's going to take a while to get your trail legs, and if it's really 600 miles for your ligaments to adjust to hiking, it may be at least that far before you can feel like you've got your trail legs. My friend Brett hiked in 2012. He told me that he didn't feel he got his trail legs until he got up into New England, and that's what, 1,500 miles into hiking. So it takes a while. It takes a while to do that. Don't let yourself get discouraged. Okay, that's kind of the wrap up here, and I hope this helps, and hope it made sense. Once again, any questions, throw them in the comments section, really to any of my videos, and I'll be able to pick those up for next time. Anyway, from rainy Florida, and everybody have a great new year starting out, and you 2018ers, it's all yours now. This is your hike, you know. Get yourself ready to do your thing and enjoy. Bye. Hey everybody, I was doing a review of the video, and I realized that I made a mistake. I was talking, I meant to say Franklin is where you have your outfitter with at about the 100-mile mark. The Outdoor 76 there is a great outfitter that can help you with your footwear problems. And it was actually the NOC where I saw a lot of young people with just absolutely torn out feet, and it was too bad because that's after Franklin. If you don't get your foot problems worked out, then your next opportunity is pretty much Hot Springs, okay, and then Damascus. So, and by then you'll have suffered way too much unnecessarily. So, if you're having problems with your footwear, you know, then it's time you get to Franklin to get that solved. Okay, all right. So the class of 2018, don't be discouraged. Hike on. Others have done it. You will too. It'll be enjoyable. It'll be the greatest experience of your life. See you later. Bye.